So hi, what's up? It's your boy Sports Wizard and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're going to be doing the tier list of the best NBA players of 2020 to 2021. And before we get into the video, if you guys watch my tennis prediction videos, guys, don't worry, I will be doing Olympic tennis predictions. And same for basketball, I will also be doing Olympic basketball predictions. So if you guys are wondering, yes, I will be doing Olympic tennis predictions and Olympic basketball predictions, so that will be insane. Stay tuned for that. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So we're doing the tier list of the best NBA players 2020 to 2021. So, I mean, this is not really based on anything. It's just based on my personal opinion. Like, it's just subjective. It's not really based on, like, all NBA teams or, like, all-star selections, or, like, the MVP voting, you know what I mean? So, like, I've just created this list just to show who I think, like, are the top, like the best NBA players from 2020 to 2021. There will be a lot of things, like some of them might be based on regular season, some of them might be based on playoffs. I'll also take into account how their teams played, their individual stats, like everything will be taken into account. So let's start from the bottom. So we have honorable mentions. So the honorable mentions for this list are Jimmy Butler, Chris Middleton, and Russell Westbrook. So Butler, I mean, he played really well. The Heat, I mean, they didn't finish really high. And Butler, I mean, he averaged around 20 points a game, carried the Heat like he always does. But I mean, like, he wasn't phenomenal. He did reach the third team for the All-NBA team, but I think just because of the Heat's record, I think he has to settle for an honorable mention. Same with Chris Middleton. He's the second option after Giannis. He played really well. Also, like he was phenomenal, like he always is, and he's really good. Russell Westbrook, obviously, he played for the Wizards. He was phenomenal. You know what I mean? He's a former MVP. So coming to like the bottom tier, like number 15 to 19. And by the way, guys, this is not in a specific order. You know what I mean? Like, this is not in a specific order. So, we have Bradley Beal. So, he played really well. For most of the season, he was the NBA leading scorer. But eventually, Stephen Curry took that away from him. But Beal, he still averaged more than 30 points a game. You know what I mean? He and Westbrook carried their team to a spot in the NBA playoffs. But eventually, they lost. But yeah, he really improved in everything. Like, he was a really good scorer. You know what I mean? He was a fantastic player. Now we're going to Paul George. Obviously, like, his team was the Los Angeles Clippers. They reached the conference finals, but eventually they did lose, and he played really well. He averaged around 23 points a game, 22 points a game, something like that in the regular season. The Clippers, I believe, were the third seed. Yeah, and he played really well. Now we're coming to Julius Randle. So obviously, for me, he was the most improved player. Like, he went from somewhere to somewhere, you know what I mean? He was averaging, like, 20 points a game, Like, he was very efficient, and, like, he was the most improved player for me, and he played really well. So, I think he deserved it. Now, we're coming to Rudy Gobert. He was a main part in the Utah Jazz's regular season success. He and Donovan Mitchell. Gobert, like, the Jazz were number 1 seed. They were the best team in the NBA in the regular season, then they lost in the playoffs. Gobert, he's a defensive juggernaut. Obviously, he won Defensive Player of the Year. Now coming to Kyrie Irving. We all know Kyrie Irving, like, his playmaking is phenomenal, his dribbling is phenomenal. He's playing for the Nets. He averages solid 28 points, 26 points, something like that per game. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of players ahead of him, so that's why I have to rank him in, like, the third tier. So now 8 to 14, really good player. So, I mean, I just got to write descriptions like 1 to 7 superstar, 8 to 14 really good player. 15 to 19, you could just say it's kind of like good player. Let's just put that. So yeah, 8 to 14 really good player. So we have Damian Lillard. So he actually played phenomenal. He averaged around 29 to 30 points a game. Obviously, like, he was clutch like his usual self, like 3-point maestro. And the only thing that brings him down is obviously his team's record. They didn't even get to go to the playoffs. He couldn't carry them there. So that's why he gets like a little bit down. And he was always in the top 10 MVP caliber players level this year. But he just has to, like, stay here. So now we have Devin Booker. So you guys might be like, D Book, like really bro, really bro. Well, I mean, like I said in the beginning of the video, I said I take into account playoffs. And that's like a very, very, very big point in this tier list. So D-Book, he stays here because I mean he was a major part in like the Suns' success, second best team in the NBA, and honestly I think they're gonna win the NBA Finals. At the time of recording, the score is Suns won 2 games and Bucks won 1 game. Yeah, so like they're up 2-1 in the NBA Finals. I think they'll win it, but I don't want to jinx it. But anyway, D-Book is averaging a solid, I believe, 23 to 25 points in the regular season. He's playing really well in the playoffs, and yeah, he's a phenomenal player. Now we get Donovan Mitchell. He got snubbed for the All-NBA teams. Like, he should have made it. Like, obviously, like, he was the best player in the best team of the NBA. He's averaging a solid 25 points a game. You know, he's carrying his team. But I mean, obviously he couldn't get his team far like D-Book did. So yeah, that's why I have to stay here. Now we're coming to Jason Tatum. So obviously he plays for the Boston Celtics. His sidekick Jaylen Brown got injured for the playoffs. So yeah, he couldn't carry his team like all the way. But still, Tatum is a really good player. I believe he was averaging more than 25 points a game in the regular season. He was a phenomenal player. He's still pretty young. He can shoot from anywhere. Like, he's a really, really, really good player. Now we have LeBron James. So LeBron is averaging 25 points a game in the regular season. He didn't carry his team at all. Like he did get to the playoffs, but like they lost in the first round. So that takes a major hit on him. 25 points a game. Very good player, but he is still pretty old and he's slowed down a bit. So that's why he has to reserve for like 8 to 14 best players of the 2020 to 2021 season. Next we have James Harden. He was a phenomenal player. He had to be a sidekick for Kevin Durant, but he still averaged 25 points a game. You know, very efficient. He was assisting, he was rebounding, like he was really good when it came to Brooklyn. But after he did get some injuries that slowed him down a little bit, but still, I think it's good enough for him to rank like up there. You know, like injuries. You know, I just want to say some things. Like injuries, like, it's not gonna really affect me from putting players where I think there should be. You know, like, say I think like James Harden should be in the second tier. Say he played like 10-15 less games than all the other players. Even in the games he played, if he played phenomenal, I'm not gonna hesitate to put him up there. You know what I mean? Because like some people say like, oh, like, you know, like this guy played less games, so that's why I'm not gonna put him up there. Even in the games that he played really well. You know what I mean? Like, at least for me, like, it's not his fault that he didn't get to play that many games, right? Like, at least consider the fact that the games he played well. So that's why. So Harden, I still think he deserves to be up there. And now we have Luka. So you guys might be shocked that Luka is in the second tier. Some of you guys might be. He's young. He's really good. He made the All-NBA first team. And All-NBA teams, I just want to say, like, I'm not trying to slam them or anything, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes it's a bit tricky because of the positions. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, Joel Embiid made the second team. Personally, I think he should have made the first team. Like really, I'd actually dropped out Kawhi because I thought Joel Embiid could play as a 3. Because I just heard somewhere that like Joel Embiid, like, he could still qualify to be a power forward. But I didn't know, like, they had to put him center and Jokic beat him out there fair and square. But anyway, Luka's averaging around 26 to 28 points a game. The sad thing is that the Mavericks are the 5th seed, which I mean, that's not too bad. But he couldn't lead them that far in the playoffs. He doesn't have a great team, and like if he leads his team to the playoffs, farther in the playoffs, I think he'll probably be in the number one tier. But for now, he just has to be like the best player in the second tier. I told you I didn't put them in order, but I think like he's probably like out of these players, maybe the best one or maybe not. But anyway, he has to settle for the second tier. Now, when we come to the superstar range, like the number 1 and number 7, I think all these 7 players are deserving to be in here. So yeah, let's start Yeah, let's start. So now we have Kawhi Leonard. So I think he deserves to be up there. Regular season, he averaged like around 23, 25 points a game, something like that. Obviously, he carried his team all the way to the Western Conference Finals. We don't even need to say what he did. He played phenomenal. They were down 2-0, 3-0 in some series. He caught him back up. And he played really well. And sadly, in the Western Conference Finals against the Suns, he got injured. Personally, I think he should have tried playing because I think he would have helped massively. But sadly, he didn't play, and that's why they lost. But anyway, he made his team come back. 2-0, 3-0. That's it. Kawhi can do it. For the past 7 years, he won 2 Finals MVPs. He's really clutch, and in that 2019 Toronto Raptors game-winning shots, that was actually phenomenal. And I wanted to tell you about some interesting fact I've seen. So let's start with this. So in 2014, who was the player that led the Spurs to the championship? Kawhi Leonard. 2015, who was the player that led the Warriors to the championship? Steph. In 2016, who was the player that led the Cavaliers to the championship? LeBron. 2017, who was the player that led the Warriors to the championship? Steph and KD. 2018, who was the player that led Steph and KD? That led the Warriors to the championship in 2018. Steph and KD. 2019, who was the player that led the Raptors to the championship? Leonard. 2020, who was the player that led the Lakers to the championship? LeBron. Do you see the pattern? Kawhi was there twice. LeBron was there twice. Steph was there. He was there in 2015, 17, and 18. Even though he didn't win a Finals MVP in all those years, he still led them. KD was there in 2017 and 18. Those 4 players in all those 7 years led their team to a championship. So he's one of those 4 players that led their team to a championship. You know what I mean? That's really, really special. But anyway, in 2021, it's going to be broken. It's either going to be CP3 or Giannis. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that because that means Kawhi is really good in the playoffs and he definitely deserves to be in here. Now we're coming to Giannis. Obviously, he is still in the NBA Finals. Yesterday he dropped a 41-point game, and a few days ago he dropped a 42-point game. He was the only second after Shaq to drop 40 and 10 in two consecutive playoff NBA Finals games. That's phenomenal. He's really good. Won 2 MVPs back to back. He's a really good player. And I think if the Bucks win the chip, I'm not gonna be too surprised because they're both the Suns and Bucks are both really close. So now we're coming to Joel Embiid. So he might be a bit of a tricky one for you guys. You guys might be like, oh, why is he up there? Well, let's just say that if you weren't following the NBA in the beginning to mid of the regular season, Joel Embiid was dominating. He's a big man. He was averaging 30 points a game, helping his team. Obviously the 76ers were the first seed, so he was playing really well until he got an injury. Then he got an injury and he came back. He was still playing well, but not as great. So Embiid was really dominating. He did lead his team to the NBA playoffs, but they did lose with Ben Simmons not even trying to shoot. But anyway, Embiid played really well in the regular season. And you know what I mean? The reason why I chose Kawhi was because of his playoff dominance. Giannis, he was both good in the regular season and the playoffs. Embiid, he was good in the regular season. So you see where I'm going with here, right? If you're good in the playoffs, regular season, both, I'm gonna choose you. That's as simple as that. And now we're coming to CP3. So I think the Suns will win the chip. No offense to Giannis. And I think CP3 will win the Finals MVP. So if he actually wins the Finals MVP, he's going to be really good in the playoffs. I think he's playing really well. You know what I mean? He's leading his team up there. I think he'll win Finals MVP. Even though stats are not the best, even in the regular season, he led the Suns all the way to the number 2 seed. So we don't need to remind ourselves about CP3's greatness. Now we're coming to Kevin Durant. So, yeah, he did get injured for most of the time. You know what I mean? He did get injured for a lot of the time, but he still maintained it. You know what I mean? He averaged 26 points a game. Obviously, when it came to the playoffs, he dropped a 42-point game, a 41-point game. No, he didn't. No, he dropped a 48-point game and 42-point game. Sorry. Yeah, I was tripping. Sorry, he dropped a 48-point game. No. Sorry. He dropped a 49-point game and 48-point game. Yeah, I think he dropped a 49-point game and 48-point game. Those games were phenomenal against the Bucks, but eventually they still did lose. But he was pouring in points. I saw both of those games. I saw the 49-point one. He was really good. 48-point one. He was really good as well. He averaged a triple-double in the 48-point game. And in the playoffs, he played really well. Unfortunately, the Nets couldn't continue because Kevin Durant was the only one that was actually doing anything. But I think next year, if the Nets are really healthy, I think they can win the chip. KD Finals MVP. Mark my words. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, KD played really well. Even the regular season, he played well. But I'm thinking that if someone gets injured, that doesn't mean they can't be up there. You know what I mean? As long as they played really good in the games they played, I'm gonna put them up there. So now we have Curry. He finished top 3 in the MVP race. Maybe yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday he won the ESPY award. He played phenomenal. What do we say? He was the top scorer in the NBA. He was hitting threes from crazy. The only thing that I'm a little bit if he is about that is his team record. You know what I mean? Because I was telling you team record is really important, and that's why I put Butler in honorable mentions. But Curry is a bit of an exception. You know what I mean? He out of these this list, he's the only exception. I know Bradley Beal didn't have a phenomenal team record as well, but I'm thinking Curry he played really well.